Hi, kindergarten. Today we're going to be reading a book called Caps for Sale, a tale of a peddler, some monkeys, and their monkey business. Written and illustrated by Esphyr Slobodkina. Okay, let's begin. Caps for sale. Once there was a peddler who sold caps, but he was not like an ordinary peddler carrying his wares on his back. He carried them on top of his head. First he had on his own checked cap, then a bunch of gray caps, then a bunch of brown caps, then a bunch of blue caps, and on the very top a bunch of red caps. He walked up and down the streets holding himself very straight so as not to upset his caps. As he went along he called, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." Look how straight and carefully he's standing to make sure that his caps stay up high so they won't move and they won't fall. One morning he couldn't sell any caps. He walked up the street and he walked down the street calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." But nobody wanted any caps that morning. Nobody wanted even a red cap. He began to feel very hungry, but he had no money for lunch. "I think I'll go for a walk in the country," said he, and he walked out of town slowly, slowly, so as not to upset his caps. There he is, walking really slowly. He walked for a long time until he came to a great big tree. "That's a nice place for a rest," thought he. And he sat down very slowly under the tree and leaned back little by little against the tree trunk so as not to disturb the caps on his head. Then he put up his hand to feel if they were straight. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. They were all there, so he went to sleep. He slept for a long time. Now, before we move on, do you think it was smart of him to sleep with a bunch of caps on his head? What do you think is going to happen to all the caps stacked up on his head? Do you think they're still going to be there once he wakes up from his long nap? Let's see what happens. When he woke up, he was refreshed and rested. Now take a look at the picture. What's missing in this picture? That's right. Look at that. There's only one cap on his head, and it's his own checked cap. Where do you think the rest of the stack of caps went? What happened to the caps? But before standing up, he felt with his hand to make sure his caps were all in the right place. All he felt was his own checked cap. Look, he realized that all the caps were not there. He looked to the right of him, no caps. He looked to the left of him, no caps. He looked in back of him, no caps. He looked behind the tree, no caps. He's looking everywhere and he cannot find his caps. Then he looked up into the tree, and what do you think he saw? What do you think is going to be up in the tree? Look at that. What are all these? Right, these are monkeys, and look at each monkey wearing a cap. On every branch sat a monkey. On every monkey was a gray or a brown or a blue or a red cap. The monkeys took all of his caps. The peddler looked at the monkeys. The monkeys looked at the peddler. He didn't know what to do. Finally, he spoke to them. "You monkeys, you," he said, shaking a finger at them. "You give me back my caps." but the monkeys only shook their fingers back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." This made the peddler angry, so he shook both hands at them and said, "You monkeys, you give me back my caps." But the monkeys only shook both their hands back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." So far, it seems like the monkeys are just copying the peddler. Let's see if they're going to keep doing that. Now he felt quite angry. He stamped his feet and he said, "You monkeys, you better give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." Looks like they were just trying to get him even angrier. And they just kept copying him. Let's see what they're going to do next. By this time, the peddler was really very, very angry. He stamped both his feet and shouted, "You monkeys, you must give me back my caps." But the monkeys only stamped both their feet back at him and said, "Tss, tss, tss." At last, he became so angry that he pulled off his own cap, threw it on the ground, and began to walk away. Look how upset he was. He threw his own cap. Now, since the monkeys until now were copying the peddler, what do you think they're going to do next? Do you think they're just going to watch him walk away? Or will they do the same thing as him and throw their caps from their heads? Let's see if they're going to do that. But then each monkey pulled off his cap. And all the gray caps, and all the brown caps, and all the blue caps, and all the red caps came flying down out of the tree. Look at that. They dropped all of the caps. Do you think the peddler was happy now? Yes, he was very happy. So the peddler picked up his caps and put them back on his head. First his own checked cap, then the gray caps, then the brown caps, then the blue caps, then the red caps on the very top. Look, he organized his caps exactly the way they were before, with his checked cap first and then the rest of them. And slowly, slowly he walked back to town calling, "Caps, caps for sale, 50 cents a cap." The end.